Ciao, fashionistas and style enthusiasts. Oggi, it's not about margherita pizzas, beautiful coasts, and pasta. Today, it's all about fashion. Milan Fashion Week is one of the most anticipated weeks of the season. It's a favorite for a lot of reasons. There's something spicy about Italian fashion that can't be confused with any other culture. Milan knows how to do luxury while reserving its meaning, craftsmanship, exclusivity, and quality. And this season, they show that they can bring new stories and still reserves its essence. The traditional Bottega Veneta, Dolce Gabbana, and Prada looked at their most elevated versions. As for the new names, Sunnei brought boldness to the highest level with natural makeup, today's looks, and more realistic casting. On the streets, Milan always surprises with its super chic style, completely in tune with the runways. Yes, it seems like Italians were born with fashion DNA, don't you think? Today, we'll see what the highlights of the runways were, the trends for next summer, and what people wore on the streets during the season. So let's go. Highlighting, there's no better way to start than with the classic. Gucci's summer collection is simple and grand, just like the name of the collection, casual grandeur. Directly from the Triennale di Milan, Sabato Di Sarno threw a dose of Gucci all over the place. The entire decor was Gucci Rossi. He flirted with the brand's past, so on the runways, there were chokers and bracelets that imitated the Gucci bamboo strap from 1947. The scarves worn by the models had the floral print, which was created in 1966 by Vittorio Accarnio and was a hit at the time. While the oversized monogram coats were paired with jeans and a tank top with red and green stripes on the collar, the highlight was the style of the large glasses and the printed scarves. Yes, the 70s are here. Moving on to Prada, and Miuccia and Raf knew how to move away from the mainstream with elegance. In the summer collection, there was nothing that was trending, except for the more casual animal print that was outside the current fashion color scheme. Everything, absolutely everything, was what we classify as tacky. Leggings, vintage floral prints, and Peter Pan collars. This season there were so many things. Eyelid visors, tube tops with pockets, mid-rise skirts, and orange windbreaker jackets. The highlights of the show were the structured heels and the floral dress, which opened the show. It looked like a grandmother's outfit, but the stripes were irregular, paired with spiked Mary Jane shoes. On to Dolce & Gabbana. Before the show, Madonna's hits were playing, and when the lights were turned off and the models entered the runways, no one had any doubt anymore. It was about the queen of pop. On the runways, the cross necklaces she had worn since 1980 were combined with the satin corset dresses, the sky-high platform heels, and the Jean Paul Gaultier-inspired tops for blonde ambition took on different angles in each look. Sometimes more to the left, more centered and higher up. There were also pinstripe pants with the top, referencing her concert looks. The highlights were the crop jackets and the black hot pants set. Definitely a summer look. Next for Maximara, they presented their science and magic collection, influenced by mathematics, philosophy, and astronomy. So on the runways, there were tailoring shirts, long skirts, pants, and dresses. Everything was flawless. And in neutral tones, as in typical of the brand, the highlight of the show was the long sleeve shirt dress, a perfect piece for the long summer days, when paired with a leather flat and a tote bag. Moving on to Diesel, Glenn Martens explored new visions for the season. In a space covered in ripped jeans on the floor, the models walked wearing tailoring, traditional plain jeans, floral prints, and rips. In fact, they were everywhere. But don't think about a simple rip, the kind that only appears on the knees of the pants or on the thighs. Here, the technique was taken to the extreme in the entire pieces and jeans, jacquard and plaid. Regarding trends, they brought the Diesel baguette bag with layers and ripples. The highlights were the pieces in colorful prints that emphasizes summer. Moving on to Sunnei, the brand celebrated 10 years in the business. So on the runways, they did a bit of reflection, casting entirely older models on the runways. The model walked around with their toenails painted black, dressed in vibrant colors and sportier tailoring. Everything was very organic. The look seemed to be their signature, a balance between trends and long-standing styles, the ones that have been with you for decades. The highlights of the show were the sporty flip-flops, which will certainly be a hit in 2025. Moving on to Robert Cavalli, if you love glamour, there was no skimping here. Yes, Fausto Punisi delivered 100% sophistication. In the collection, there were many versions of dresses, from long zebra dresses with fringes on the train, slip dresses with landscape print, shorter halter dresses with gaps at the waist, and classic tube dresses. The highlights were the python prints. Yes, bye-bye cheetah. Well, moving on to Bottega Veneta, Matthew Blasey took his mind back to his childhood. So the shows featured a lot of oversized tailoring, crinkled layers and fringes. You know how when we were children and you wore your mother's clothes? Well, that's the feeling Matthew wanted us to feel. The highlight of the collection were the oversized suits and the white mule heels that gave an air of sophistication and comfort. And lastly, we have Versace. Write this down. You will never see a shy Versace collection. Donatello's summer woman is softer, but doesn't let herself be bold. There was a nod to the 70s, so the color palette was earthly, yellow, blue, and a little lilac, proof that you can be sexy without wearing black or burgundy red. Well, there were floral prints, pajama-style dresses, above-the-knee skirts, and midriff-bearing open tops that emphasize Versace's super sexy look. The highlights of the show were the midi shorts combined with the red socks and strappy sandals. Yes, subtle, but very Versace. Well, Milan is a long week with lots of events, shows, and more shows. And at the end of it all, we're left wondering what will work for the next season. But don't worry, we've separated some trends that you need to keep an eye on, starting with the Roaring Twenties. When Fendi kicked off the fashion week inspired by his 20s, we should have suspected that the flapper would be in other shows. There were pastel-colored dresses at Tom Ford's, tops and dresses with fringes at Emporio Armani, and at Attico, a transparent version. Moving on to sequences at Prada, they were combined with leather, while at Gucci, there was a version of a silver column dress combined with a jockey bag and heels, an all-silver look. Moving on to slip dresses, this season they were combined with colors and lingerie. At Bottega Veneta, it was more restraint, while at Jill Sanders, it looked like a nightgown combined with boots, which automatically activated a gothic look. But remember, they were never simple, but always well styled. So if you want to get in on this trend, keep an eye out for accessories. They are very valuable here. Next, the feathers. They were delicate and well crafted at the Bottega Veneta, which made perfect sense to have a colorful version. At Loro Piana, they were on bags, dresses, and hats, a true work of art. Moving on to trench coats. Gucci opted for a beige version, while Dolce & Gabbana delivered a more sensual look with a light version, with tops and platforms. And at Tod's, yellow coats were paired with flats. Yes, no one can escape the classics. Moving on to silk scarves. There were many versions, prints at Ferragamo, floral at Gucci, and transparent silk at Fendi, while at Bottega they gained bright floral and striped versions. Next we have pistachio green. This season it's more subtle. At Marni and Fendi, it appears subtle in plain and floral fabrics. Getting into street style trends, leaving the runways and heading to the streets, corporate styles was more chic and less caricature than Pinterest sirens. We know that this trend was first brought by Italian brands, and rescuing the originals of this trend, street styles brought pencil skirts and oversized gray blazers combined with a burgundy top and bayonetta sunglasses, and a blazer and pants set with the shirt style blouse. Everything became more wearable. Moving on to burgundy. Well, it's fall, so we'll be seeing it for a long time. And Italy has been doing this in its fashion CV, so why ignore it? Versace, Bottega Veneta, and of course Gucci, they love burgundy, and on the streets it was everywhere. Bags, bomber jackets, and high heels, a trend that makes any look more elegant. Now let's move on to boots. Yes, we're talking about Milan, so boots can't be left out in any way. They're going to be one of the biggest trends for the season, and on the streets of Milan, they were paired with tailored dresses and pencil skirts, bringing femininity to every look. Going back a few years, it was Fendi who brought their monster charms, but they returned under a Balenciaga perspective. Without restrictions, there are many types of charms. Although it is very small pieces, the authenticity game elevates any look. After all, I am always talking about fashion signatures here. Well, another week has passed and Milan has once again proven to us how chic it can be. The sophistication of Bottega Veneta, the sensuality of the Versace woman, and the non-commitment of the mainstream from Prada. There's something different going on in each brand, but in the end, it's all about luxury. Either way, the season guarantees glamour more than ever. After all, we're talking about the most chic capital, right? I hate to define it. Each capital has its own qualities. But seriously, Milan is where influence matters the most. The craftsmanship still screams the authenticity of New York, and the creative melting pot of London, and the elegance of Paris. Comment below what was your favorite show of the season. I would love to know. As we bid farewell, we invite you to like and subscribe to our channel. Until next time, stay stylish, stay chic. XOXO, House of Vanity.